Hello, my friends. Welcome to the Mermaid Mystic Substack and YouTube video channel. I'm so grateful that you're here and looking forward to connecting with you today for this full moon in Scorpio reading that we are doing. So for this full moon that's happening on Monday the 12th, I felt really called to pull cards about the cycles that we are leaving behind, and then the new, more aligned in our higher self cycles we are ready to call in and step into. Working with lunar phases is a really powerful way to do this because the moon moves through phases. As do all the planets, but the lunar phases are very accessible because it's going through this 28-day cycle. So it's not as immediate and fast as the sun cycle that's going every day. It gives us some time to focus on what we're releasing and calling in without making it so stretched out. So working with the lunar phases is great for so many reasons. And this day, what we're focusing on today is going to be to see how we can work with the lunar phases to identify cycles that don't work for us, to call in cycles that are more aligned, that do work for us, and then how we can do that. So this reading, if you've come upon it, is going to be talking about specific cycles for the collective. So this can resonate to varying degrees for whoever's here. For some, it might resonate so much. For some, it might just be a bit. All good. Take what resonates, leave the rest. So if you want to stick around and watch this reading, you can go ahead and just get settled. If you want to grab pen and paper to jot down some notes, if you want to get a cup of tea or light a candle and create sacred space to just really call in those magical energies, go ahead and pause the video and do that now. Otherwise, I'm just going to dive right in. So with the Scorpio full moon, what cycle are you ready to leave behind that you have outgrown and it no longer serves you? And what better, more aligned cycle are you ready to call in and to live? So what we're leaving behind is the Fool. Very interesting. And then the rune Perthro. So here is a little tarot tutorial tip, little tarot lesson to help you get more out of your readings if you yourself are a tarot reader or learning the tarot. I like to see how the cards are contrasted to give me more information about what each of them mean. So in this reading, we're talking about what we're releasing and what we're stepping into. This is a great reading, by the way, to do it any time. It helps us really connect with the fact that we're these ever-evolving beings. We can release kind of this illusion or pain of stagnancy and then realize that even if things suck, things are not meant to stay the same. And so we can release the things that are cramping our style and we can call in things that are better for us. We can always grow and evolve. So I find this doesn't have to just be a full moon reading. This is a great reading too at any time you feel like you need some transition, you need some change. This one I'm talking about cycles, but you could just do what am I ready to leave behind? What brighter future am I ready to call in now? That's another great one. Super simple, 2 cards, fantastic. Okay. So the contrast. So we see that we're ready to leave behind cycles of the Fool, patterns of the Fool. And we are ready to step into cycles of the 6 of Pentacles. So what we're going to do is look at that contrast to get more information. So the Fool is very willy-nilly. The Fool is leaps of faith, which calls for almost blind trust. What we see in the Smith Rider-Waite deck is the Fool smelling a flower, right? And just stepping off a cliff. And other decks depict this beautifully and other artists' interpretations of this. But there is this sense of we don't see where the Fool is going. We don't see just how high that cliff is. We don't see what's at the bottom. We don't see what's beyond. So the Fool calls for a great deal of trust. The Fool also is quite innovative and rebellious, likes to go against the grain. The planetary association with the Fool card is Uranus. Uranus is a planet, bit of a rebel and quite innovative, which is great. Sometimes we super need that energy, right? This isn't about good or bad. This is a cycle that has served you and you've outgrown it. You've outgrown it for whatever reason. So we see that the Fool is what we're leaving behind. Now, when we're stepping into the 6 of Pentacles, we're stepping into this gorgeous energy of abundance and reciprocity. This is where you feel good about what you are putting out in the world and you feel well compensated. Now, this does not just align with money. With Pentacles, we have a tendency to think a lot about the dough, and for sure, that is absolutely a part of it. But remember that Pentacles can also be about the home, and so perhaps work that is done in the home. It's also about health. It's about our connecting to nature. It can be education. So really in this material world. In the 6 of Pentacles, You feel supported and resourced, and you feel like what you're putting out into the world is appreciated. So it's this great message of reciprocity. And we can even see that here in this imagery. Very beautiful. The way there's this flow with the two fish. So to see this contrast, the Six of Pentacles also is very balanced and fair. So we're not overgiving, but we're not hoarding and taking more than we need. So it's more calculated. There's something very, I would say, strategic, but kind of a natural flow with the Six of Pentacles. We have healthy discernment. We reflect on what we are spending on what we are receiving and accepting. There can be a bit of a plan. It just feels more deliberate. Whereas the Fool does not feel deliberate, except where I'm deliberately throwing spaghetti at the wall to just see what happens. So to me, I get the sense here, this contrast, we see deliberation, flow, intention, and the Six of Pentacles, and we see willy-nilly leaps of faith, shoulder shrug in the Fool. So that would suggest if the new better cycle to step into is the Six of Pentacles, we need to let go of feeling like you just have to throw spaghetti at the wall and see what happens. You're just like taking leaps of faith all the time. You just feel like you have to just trust, and you are ready to feel more deliberate and to plan things and to move forward with more discernment. Okay, so this feels like, and I say this with so much love, kind of like growing up. And the thing is, like, we're always growing up. Like, ideally, aging shouldn't be focused on decline. It should really be focused on becoming more and more of who we've always been meant to be. All these lessons, all this wisdom, it should really ideally make us more authentic, kinder, stronger, richer, deeper roots, stronger branches, right? So that is the sense I'm getting here for anyone watching this. Now, with the runes, Perthro is the rune representing the cycle we're leaving behind, and this actually works very beautifully with the Fool because Perthro is the rune of the gaming cup. If you actually look at it, it looks like it could possibly be a little cup, right? So it's this idea that you're like shaking the dice or whatever in your cup and tossing them out and seeing like, what do I get? So it's this kind of game of chance. Now, Perthro is good fortune, but coupled with the Fool, it looks like in the past, cycles you're ready to leave behind are periods in which you just like felt like you were rolling the dice and like, let's just see what happens. You may have been with some irresponsible, flaky partners or friends, people who weren't very fair or who were kind of like maybe fun, but not very reliable. And you're ready to let go of any undercurrent of like, I don't believe in myself that may have actually contributed to feeling like you have no control and you're just kind of like buffeted by the winds of fate and you just have to see where things land. So we can let go of any kind of flakiness, irresponsibility, not feeling empowered. And if you feel like you're like, I didn't do any of that, perhaps you just may have felt like you just had to shrug your shoulders a lot and surrender. And that's okay, but this suggests that that period is done. So one of the best ways to leave behind cycles is to just reflect on any lessons that we learned from them that are empowering and helpful. You know, like sometimes you might think like the lesson is like never trust. That's definitely not the lesson. That is pain speaking, trying to protect you and holding you down. Being careful who you trust, having more discernment, that would be the lesson from your higher self. So, and again, removing the words good or bad, because this period of time could have really served you. You know, if you're someone who's very controlling, then learning to like surrender and go with the flow may have showed you that when you can let go of control, perhaps things turn out better than you thought. And maybe you've learned that a mix of healthy control and planning with surrendering to the universe is like the ultimate. It's like how like the best things come through. So you can sit with that and feel like what's coming forward for you there. Now the rune I was is this rune of rebirth. It's this rune of journeying, of shamanic journeys, of spiritual guidance, and paradoxes. So this helps us see sometimes a thing that we think is so good isn't really good. Sometimes the thing that we think is bad isn't so bad. It's actually a gift, right? Kind of like how sometimes, as much as we don't love conflict, if we have like a healthy engagement with conflict, you know, like two partners are upset and they kind of air their grievances, even if it's uncomfortable, it's very good. Because then moving forward, each partner is doing things in a way that's better for themselves and the other. The relationship is stronger. Whereas avoiding conflict might look like peace and harmony, but in fact, people aren't feeling heard. So it could be a number of things, right? Or maybe that like promotion isn't exactly what it seems, or maybe You get the idea. So in Iowa's, we have the maturity, we have the life experience and wisdom, and we have the spiritual guidance to help us see more clearly, help us see beyond the obvious. And that is a cycle that you're entering into. So the Fool, then, again, continuing with this contrast, may have suggested that in the past, like you may have just jumped at things that were kind of shiny, or maybe you thought things were like going to be taking the easy road. And it's okay, so many of us are conditioned to do this. A part of maturity is really learning that like the great things are built generally over time with effort, right? um but there is also this sense, maybe in the past, things that looked fun, you've outgrown them. You know, maybe they were fun then, but they're not fun now. Like some things just don't age well. You know, like if you think of some of the things that you thought were like cool in your 20s, some of them will remain, but some of them you're like, that doesn't age. Like we cannot keep doing that. It's not cool when you're 40. You know what I mean? So I get the sense is really helping with maturity. So just seeing some of the things that you used to think were cool, they're just not cool anymore. And like you've just outgrown them. And some of the things that you thought were like to be avoided, now they might actually hold something cool for you. So this is the new cycle. So this is a cycle of being able to see things way more clearly and be on the surface level. So this new cycle implies that you're going to have more wisdom, maturity, and also trust in yourself and your guides to, like I said, see through any sort of illusions and make the best choices. And because this is a message of rebirth, this really suggests a time of rebirth. So you've learned these lessons. You have like accepted the good stuff. We're going to let go of the pain. We're going to forgive ourselves and others to whatever extent you can, but at least forgive yourself. And then you're going to enter into the cycle of maturity, abundance, generosity, discerned receiving. Because in the Six of Pentacles, we're receiving, but we also know what things aren't good for us. So we don't just like accept willy nilly. I'm sure, you know, for anyone watching this, there may have been a time in a relationship where someone said they'd help you, but like there were ulterior motives. That's what IWAS is also going to help you to see. What looks like a gift may be someone trying to be like manipulative or controlling or something. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm saying that in this new cycle, you have the wisdom, experience, and spiritual guidance to recognize if it is happening. So, in short, you're really moving from this cycle of feeling like you don't have a lot of control, or you just have to surrender, or you just have to learn to trust. And you are entering into a new cycle in which there's more reciprocity in your relationships, more abundance, healthy discernment, responsibility, and wisdom. And you're really being rebirthed into this person who can not just achieve the things you want, but sustain them. Ooh, this is so good. And so Taurus season. Okay, my friends, I hope this was helpful. And keep this in mind as the full moon approaches. You can think about what you want to do to set your intentions with that full moon, what you want to let go of. You can also use the waning moon, so the period from the full moon to the new moon, where it appears to be getting smaller, to release anything that's come up for you during this. And then you can use the new moon to plant the seeds and anchor your intentions of this like very mature, abundant, fair, and intentional being into reality through your rituals with the new moon. Okay, my friends, thank you so much for being here. I hope this was helpful. Blessed full moon as always. If you have any questions, let me know, and have a good one. Take care.